go? What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Jayoffact. Today's video, I got y'all with another reaction video. Before we get into this reaction video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to my second channel, my third channel. Those links will be in the description below. And yeah, man, let's get straight into this reaction video. Alright, so as y'all can see from the title of today's video, we're going to be reacting to new Tommy and Tariq spinoff confirmed, Power Legacy. Now, I really do my homework on Power. I'm not gonna lie. That's the show I watch the most. I don't even watch TV, but if I am watching TV, this is what I'm watching. I done watched every spinoff.
I heard from you in a minute.
You could. I done rewatched every spinoff. I done rewatched the original about 5-10 times.
Submitted details, and I'll be there.
Crazy. So there's some crazy ass news. I'm not gonna lie.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has finally been confirmed. They say Power never ends. They've been teasing that for a while, and I genuinely
feel like they gonna kill Tommy.
Stories to tell from the world of Power.
I feel like they gonna kill Tommy in this one. It's only right. My nigga Tommy been living for too long. Got entirely too many hats.
Actually be a surprise.
I ain't gonna lie.
Like, wasn't surprised. A new Tariq and Tommy show has been a hot topic of discussion.
Tommy survived this shit.
Theory, prediction, call it what you want. It's something that we've been speaking about for well over a year. And in fact, we actually spoke about it just in my last breakdown. It just made the most logical sense. Since they announced the cancellation of Ghost last March, announcing the final season for Book 4 Force, and then you add in the phone call that Tariq received at the end of Ghost Season 4 in the after-end credit scene, the stars were just kind of aligning for Tariq and Tommy.
Yeah, everybody knew that was Tommy that Tariq was on the phone with. If you ain't watched Tariq shit, the last episode of Tariq shit, and he was on the phone, everybody knew that was Tommy.
Just this past week. And I do think everything falls in line for that particular prediction and theory as well. But a new show with Michael Rainey Jr. and Joseph Sikora leading the new series in the present timeline is pretty much confirmed. So in this breakdown, we are going to be running through the article in a bit more detail, taking a look at all the important talking points. We're then going to take a look at why now? Why have they released this information at this moment in time? As well as taking a look at it from a storyline perspective, why and how this crossover could potentially happen for the next up and coming present day timeline Power spin-off called Power Legacy.
Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy Joseph Sikora here back in New York City to announce to you that the rumors are true. Power Book 4 Force is dropping this fall.
Oh, and we definitely
I can't wait for Tommy shit to come back too. I ain't gonna lie.
That deadline released where they dropped the announcement.
The way they left off on that bitch.
They mentioned there's not just one, but two Power offshoots in the works. The other Power spin-off being Power Origins, and on that front, Sasha Penn has been confirmed as a showrunner for Power Origins, and where they are with that particular spin-off, the article did mention that they are in the writer's room at this moment in time, and his pickup chances are looking pretty good. I'm sure when they get closer to actually announcing more with Power Origins, we will get a bit more details, so just gotta be kinda patient on that front. But, on Tariq and Tommy, the Deadline article does also confirm
Season 5 of Kanan coming out 2026,
along with Kendra Chapman. They mentioned that the writer's room for the project is also expected to open soon. Power Legacy is expected to follow the events of Force as Ghost concluded its run last year. Essentially, this could open up a crossover for either Tommy or Tariq to travel to either Chicago or New York, or somewhere completely new. They also mentioned and kind of teased London before. They've toyed with the idea of Power kind of going across the pond. I personally think that's highly unlikely for the time being. I mean, never say never, but I do think it'll probably be California, which I will come to in just a moment. But the Deadline article goes on to read a bit more about
have some motion in Cali before he went to Chicago.
Keep margins healthy by ending series after a couple of seasons and then starting fresh, which is actually something we ironically spoke about just this past week. We spoke about how a Tommy
and Tariq show makes the most sense from a storyline that shit make Power.
But we also spoke about how it makes sense from a company standpoint as well.
I feel
bring
like
together two of the most popular characters from the world of Power, from Power Book 2 Ghost and also Power Book 4 Force, merge them into one show. You keep the audience, maintain the core of Power, while reducing costs, but still expanding the world of Power. So, from my standpoint, it's honestly no surprise that we're getting this news. The only surprise is we're getting this news now. I actually thought they may kind of wait until the end of Force, because they may not have wanted to ruin the ending of Force Season 3 with a potential Tariq crossover. But, having said that, I do think everyone's probably going to tune in even more, just waiting to potentially see Tariq pop up at the end. Did Tommy call Tariq? Is Tariq going to pop up in Chicago? Will that be setting up the next Power show? So I do guess it makes sense from that point of view where it just builds up even more anticipation for the final season of Force. A season which I said is going to be absolutely insane. So it definitely will build up a lot of hype, attention, anticipation, where all of us are just going to be looking for that moment where Tommy could potentially pick up the phone and call Tariq.
Submitted details, and I'll be there. I'm on my way.
Now, this was one of the biggest clues that Tommy and Tariq spin-off was eventually going to come, or at least Tariq crossing over into Chicago, because Joseph Sikora's announcement that Season 3 was going to be his last in Chicago, the cryptic message from Michael Rainey Jr. on social media showing he was at the Lionsgate Studios, it only had to be one person on the other end of this phone call. And if anybody had any doubts that it was Tommy Egan, I do think this article pretty much confirms it. I do think we are going to see Tariq crossing over into Chicago.
I knew once he was first on the phone.
The next chapter for Power Legacy. Why he's crossing over at this moment in time, apart from the obvious reasons we've spoken about. From a storyline standpoint, over the past week, I went through a couple of scenarios.
Shit was ending.
Tommy may have been betrayed by the CBI, and he may be left with no allies, nobody that he can trust, which in turn makes him call Tariq. He also may need help dealing with the war with Miguel Garcia and the Mexicans. Or, he may have actually dealt with all of those problems in Chicago, and there's a new big bad that's arrived, maybe even a common enemy.
I can't wait for this shit, bro. He just dragging me back to like all the shit that happened, bro.
I do have a feeling we're probably going to be talking about this
if CBI backdoor Tommy, he gon' need to.
Now, another question I also have is, what city will Tariq and Tommy be heading off to?
CBI backdoor Tommy.
That's also another interesting question which the Deadline article did touch on.
My nigga died, man. Tommy ain't really from there.
To either travel to
he just
Chicago
came there and took over. So many niggas
somewhere completely new. So that information hasn't actually been given out to the media just yet. Either they're trying to figure out the logistics or the potential storyline and the location, or Gary Lennon and the writers are being really tight-lipped. Maybe that's something they'll probably reveal towards the end of Season 3 and maybe episode 9 or 10 when Tariq does cross over.
There's so much shit they could do with this show.
Out of Chicago, or maybe
there's so much shit they could do with Tariq character. But that just brings me back to like an interview I seen Tariq, Michael Rainey, the nigga who actually plays Tariq. He said he didn't want to do that shit no more.
What you know about
his character could go so many places. Like, I don't know, man. He shouldn't. I feel like he shouldn't stop acting as Tariq.
California, because that was Tommy's original destination before he made that pit stop in Chicago.
We could see Tariq evolve more.
We know there's characters like Rodolfo out in LA who are ties to Jason Michich. If they wanted to go down that route, it definitely makes sense. I can't see them potentially going back to New York because Tommy's kind of been there and done that in New York. He's now been there and done that in Chicago. He's also supposed to be dead in the Big Apple. I guess if the writers really wanted to make it work, they will kind of find a workaround because at the end of the day, it is power. They're going to bend reality with a lot of storylines. So if they really wanted to have Tommy come back to New York, then I am sure they'll probably find a way. I personally think it's going to be a different city, and LA just makes the world of sense based on what they.
If Tommy go back to New York, that'd be dumb.
Again, on that one, the location hasn't.
They gonna instantly lock him up.
I'm sure that's something they're probably keeping a secret. And when we get closer to the end of Season 3, that's when we'll probably get more news. Now, whether Power Legacy has any other cast members past or present, I mean, who knows? There are actually a host of big characters still alive in the present timeline. Tasha, Brayden, Kane. There are a host of characters in Force. What happens to those particular characters? For example, D-Mac. With him being Tommy's nephew, will he join Tariq and Tommy in the next Power show? Or will they end his character arc in Season 3? There's his love interest in Maria. What happens with that particular storyline? There's also a lot they need to close off in Season 3. And it is going to be really interesting to see if anybody else does pop back up. I know there's going to be a lot of comments with 2-Bit as well. He's also someone who's been mentioned a lot over the past couple of years. And a character that I do feel was underutilized in Book 2 Ghost. I personally think they could have done a lot more with this character after they had him released in jail in Season 1. Could they also tie him into the next Power show considering he's also alive in the world of Power? He knows both Tommy and Tariq. He's worked with Tommy before. He stayed loyal while he was in jail. And even though he didn't quite fit the vibe of Chicago, maybe he fits the whole vibe and storyline for the next Power spin-off. So maybe 2-Bit is a character just to keep in mind for Power Legacy. Just some food for thought. But with this next chapter,
might as well add Kane in the mix too.
I do want to go back to the question or point I raised in my last breakdown.
Still alive.
I just asked the question again.
They have a little army on them.
Do you guys think this is going to end up being Tommy's final chapter? Kind of the last dance for Tommy Egan with him acting as a final mentor to Tariq. I personally think it will be. Gary Lennon did tease something along those lines after Season 2, and it is going to be interesting to see how they end Tommy's character arc if the next chapter is indeed the end. I do think we are getting closer to that moment, and for those who may not have seen my previous breakdown, I would highly recommend giving it a watch, because I do definitely go into it in a lot more detail. But that's the official announcement, my thoughts, some general predictions and theories, which I think does fall in line with the timeline of events over the past year or two, and also reading between the lines from various interviews and things that have been posted on social media. And it really is exciting times for the world of Power. It's crazy to think that we're 11 years deep into Power, but it just feels like we're getting started on a new era that will take us to maybe year 15 or 16 with these new set of shows. After that, well, they say Power never ends, so let's see what they have cooking. I'm sure the world of Power will expand even further beyond. But that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and let me know what you think
man,
of
I
the
hope
Tariq
they
and
really
Tommy
do
show, and also the name Power Legacy. Drop all your thoughts down below
do
in
some
the comment
crazy
section. And as always,
writing with
thank you
this
guys
one.
for watching, and I'll see you next time.
But yeah, man, do me a favor and like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out this bitch, man.